Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tyson Bailey. I am the head Linked Life Agent Coach, digital marketing strategist. And on this training, I'm going to show you how to turn your LinkedIn account into a lead generating machine without wasting any money on ads and without appearing canned or spammy. So we can get you like John over here to where you've got doctors and dentists and CEOs and business owners, whoever your target market is, reaching out to you for your products and services. So everybody that I work with is in the insurance and financial space, specifically life insurance, annuities, financial planners, investment advisors. Those are the people that I like to help with their LinkedIn marketing to generate real leads. So on this training, what we're going to cover is why LinkedIn in the first place? Why not Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or all these other social platforms that you hear about? Why LinkedIn? That's a little bit different, right? So with that, we're going to talk about some digital marketing fundamentals. Now, I'm not here to turn you into a marketing expert. I'm not going to give you a master's degree in marketing or turn you into a nerd when it comes to marketing like I am. But there are some fundamental principles that will help you, whether you're using LinkedIn, whether you're using another platform, that will help you see success. And that's what we're here for. We want you to see success in your marketing efforts. So after that, we're going to cover the CPM method. Now, the CPM method is the success formula that we have found that works on LinkedIn so that you can turn connections into clients, all right? And then at the end, we're gonna talk about how you can put rubber to the road to supercharge this process so that you see actual results. So before we start, make sure that you have notes. I'm gonna be giving you actual actionable steps and items that you can take today to see success in your marketing. So before we get started, I want you to take a deep breath. If you have tried other digital marketing strategies, if you've tried any marketing strategies that haven't worked, I want you to know that it's not your fault. I have been exactly where you are, where you feel lost and confused and you feel like you're always jumping from one shiny object to another and you don't know what to believe. I've been there, all right? And I know that you can do this because on this training, I'm gonna show you exactly what I discovered, the exact steps that you need to take to see success with your LinkedIn marketing. So if you're a beginner at digital marketing, if you're just getting new into this process, I want you to know that this will work for you because we're going to show you step by step what you need to do, the exact formula that you need to use to see success with LinkedIn. Now, the same works if you're more experienced at digital marketing and just marketing in general. Maybe you've done Facebook and email and sales funnels and all this kind of stuff, and now you're just looking to add LinkedIn to your marketing toolbox. This will be perfect for you as well because of the actionable steps that we're going to be giving you. So the one question that you will have to ask yourself to see if this will work for you is, do you have the ability to offer the best concepts, strategies, and products to your prospects and clients? So another way that I like to ask this is, do you believe in what you are selling? Now, if the answer is yes, if you do believe in what you are selling, which chances are you do because you have decided to base your whole career on this, then this can work for you. So you're probably wondering, who is Tyson Bailey? Who's this guy talking to me about LinkedIn marketing? So a little bit of a background on me. I grew up around financial experts. My grandpa was a CPA. My dad was an estate planning attorney, a tax planning attorney, a financial planner. When I was in high school, right when money and getting a job and all that kind of stuff was getting interesting to me, he was the advanced planning consultant over the Western region for a major life insurance carrier. So I literally had this in-house person who was willing to take the time to listen to my dumb questions. And I would ask him, what is this life insurance thing you keep talking about? And why would you use it in retirement planning? What's a business prenup and a buy-sell agreement? All this kind of stuff. And that is what helps spark this passion that I have for life insurance and financial planning, is being able to have those questions answered. And so from there, I jumped the gun here a little bit. So after I developed this passion, I was in college trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I got hired by a major life insurance carrier as they were opening up their Southwest regional office to come in and be their case designer. Now, this was my first big boy job, and I absolutely loved it. I was working with regional directors and regional marketing directors, and they were taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes, and things were rocking, right? And it was going great until they shut down the entire office. One of the guys above me got let go. It was all these politics going on. Still really liked the guy that I was working for, but they let him go and they let go everyone underneath him, which included me. And it sucked. So I had just found this job and this passion that I loved and didn't know what I was going to do, but it ended up being a great stepping stone to this next job because I started working for a marketing company where I was put in charge of running marketing campaigns. I was email marketing, direct mail for some large national companies and associations like RE/MAX, the Home Depot, PF Chang's, Kaplan, the National Association of Social Workers, the NAACP, the Second Amendment Foundation. And I had a boss who was a great boss who gave me a really long leash. And he was like, Tyson, this client agreed to do direct mail and email. You decide the campaign, you come up with the ideas, the frequency, whatever, and we'll launch it. And so that's where I got my passion for marketing. We were marketing insurance products, life insurance, health insurance, disability, long-term care, all this kind of stuff, right? So it was great. I loved it. And realizing that I had a passion for the marketing side as well as the insurance and financial space, I decided I wanted to combine those together a little bit more. So I got hired by a financial consulting company to come in and be their case design and marketing person. And from there, I ended up starting my own marketing agency. I founded the Linked Life Agent program. Things went great from there. But when I was working for that financial consulting company, that's when I had to figure things out. Remember I said I've been exactly where you are? Well, that was that point in time because I was doing independent production, but at the same time, I was put in charge of the marketing and case design. So I would run illustrations and do case design, but if we didn't have illustrations or case design to do, I was put in charge of the marketing, right? And so I had to figure out at that point how to get marketing to work, right? So I realized that the advisors that I worked with had great products and they had great websites and sales funnels, but we were not getting any leads. So frustrating. And let me know, does this sound familiar to you? Do you feel like you have, good products and websites and material, but you're just not getting any leads? That's exactly how I felt. And I realized that you can have a great website or a great product or great services, but what does it matter if nobody sees it? That is the key, right? So I had to study the current methods that were being used. And there was door knocking and cold calling and asking for referrals and even like online ads with Facebook and Google. And the problem is that these were effective, but they were either really time intensive or they were expensive or they required some sort of technical learning experience that I didn't have or didn't have time to go get. And so I had to go out and I had to figure this out. Okay. I was at a low point in my career because I felt like I wouldn't say useless, but I was the marketing guy at the company. I had worked for a marketing company. I should have had this figured out, but I didn't. And I was so frustrated. I was so, almost scared because I was going to lose my job. And I felt like, I'm supposed to be the guy and I'm not, right? So I went out to figure out how other industries do it. And I love going to the gym. It's a great outlet for me. And looking at, I was trying to study different products and how they were being pitched and marketed and stuff. And I walked into the gym one day and I looked over to the side and they were selling, workout supplements. There was pre-workout stuff. There was protein, all that, all that kind of stuff. And I realized something clicked in that moment where I was like, okay, well, if I'm selling workout supplements, where would I sell them, right? At the gym or at Dunkin' Donuts? Well, the answer is obvious, right? You would sell that at the gym, all right? And then simultaneously, I came across this article, this on the news channel where this girl was selling her Girl Scout cookies. She found the key to marketing that I did not have at the time. So she went and set up her cookie stand outside of a medical marijuana clinic, right? Now, whether you agree with medical marijuana and marijuana, recreational marijuana, all that kind of stuff, that is irrelevant, right? So she went to where her customers were. She absolutely killed it that year in cookie sales because she knew where her customer was. She went to where her customer was. So I had to figure out, okay, where do my prospects hang out? Where do the prospects for my advisors that I'm working with, where do they hang out? So I started looking around and I came across this. Well, they're on social media, right? Everyone's on social media. The average person spends over 2.5 hours a day on social media. Crazy, right? And so, okay, if I'm looking at this, okay, my everybody's on social media. My advisors, clients, and prospects are on social media. Where, what platform do I use? There's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest. Where should I go? It's almost overwhelming, right? So I came back to this. Go where your prospects are. What platform do professionals and business owners who have the money, resources, and need for my products and services hang out? The answer is obvious. You're on this training. They're on LinkedIn, right? Now, the key to this is what I realized, is that all has to do with a concept called preframing. This is why LinkedIn is so powerful for insurance and financial professionals. So I love Disneyland. I use Disneyland as an example in a lot of my trainings and a lot of comparisons because Disney has figured out sales and marketing techniques and strategies that we can pull from directly in our marketing. So let me ask you a question. You've got two roller coasters on your screen. You've got the train and you've got the regular roller coaster typical track, right? Which one of these do you think pulls in more money? Now, I can tell you that the one on the right, the orange one, is a lot more fun than the one on the left with the train. It's a lot more thrilling. There's a lot more drops and twists and turns. And the one on the left is a lot more boring, but it makes a lot more money than the one on the right, okay? And this has to do with pre-framing. So Disney, from the moment that you step off the bus at Disneyland or you get out of your car in the parking garage, Disney starts to pre-frame you. There's sights, there's sound, they have music playing, there's like signs everywhere, like getting you excited and getting you into that emotional buying experience. And when you get into Main Street here in Disneyland, you'll notice that there's a certain style of buildings, of fonts, of sounds, of colors, even the smells, right? Disney's pre-framing you in that moment. And now Disneyland is made up of a bunch of different lands. We've got Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, Frontierland, a few others. Now, every time you go into one of these lands where all the rides are, Disney continues that pre-framing experience. You'll notice that Adventureland here, as soon as you start to go into Adventureland, everything changes. The building style changes, the font changes, the sounds change, because Disney is continuing to pre-frame you for the experience you're about to have inside of that land. Now, what you're seeing right now is a ride called the Jungle Cruise. It's inside of Adventureland. And you'll notice that the line here, the bottom right picture is of the picture of the line, the cue before you get on the ride. When you're going through there, it's not a typical attraction where you've got like a chain or a rope on one side and you're just walking through. You can look out across and see what's going on somewhere else. Disney gets you into this environment where you're passing different scenes of like old school radios and old school fans and old school maps and stuff, to the point where you feel like by the time you get on the ride that you're about to go on a real adventure, right? So when you get on that ride, you know that tiger's not going to jump into your boat. You know those elephants aren't real. You know that those piranhas in the water are fake. But because you have been pre-framed so well for this ride, you have a more satisfying experience. Now, this is a typical fair or theme park where you're a park where you've got the rails on the side. You're able to look out. Look at how different that is from when you're getting on the Jungle Cruise, right? So different, such a different experience. So LinkedIn, when people go onto LinkedIn, they are starting to pre-frame themselves. This is something that has been key to my marketing because I've had a Facebook profile. I have a Facebook profile. I've got an Instagram. I've got all this stuff, but I've always felt weird posting on it because when people come onto Instagram and Facebook, they're going on there to check out their friends, to check out their family. Versus LinkedIn, your prospects are getting onto LinkedIn because it's a business platform. They're getting on there for business purposes. So when I reach out to somebody with financial concepts, sales concepts, marketing concepts, when I talk about those things and present those things, it's not weird because people are there for that reason. They have pre-framed themselves to get into that mentality of being there for that reason. That is huge. Write that down. That is a key, okay? So you've probably heard, okay, Tyson, I've heard Facebook ads are great though. They are, right? Facebook ads are awesome if you have already honed in on your messaging. The problem is that a lot of times people and advisors and professionals don't have their messaging and nurturing process down when they get onto, into Facebook ads, and they end up wasting a lot of money trying to figure that stuff out and then complain it doesn't work. Facebook will gladly take your money when you're willing to give it to them, right? If you've got $1 to spend on ads, Facebook will take it regardless of the success of your marketing campaign. And that's where the issue lies. So what I say to everybody is you must start on LinkedIn. Start with non-paid organic marketing efforts to figure all that stuff out and to get traction and see success before you try to scale it up with ads. That is very, very important. So how do we do it? It all sounds great. Now, this is where rubber meets the road. Make sure you got those notes ready to go, right? So this on the screen right now is the success formula. C plus P plus M equals LinkedIn success. That's it. That simple. Okay, that's why I love LinkedIn. There's not a lot of moving parts. You can see a lot of good stuff just with this simple formula. So C stands for connections, P stands for posting, M stands for messaging. So connections plus posting plus messaging equals LinkedIn success. That's it. But you have to do it the right way. You have to be able to do it without appearing canned or spammy or salesy. And that's what we're going to get into. And that's exactly what we got going for John here, to where he's actually got his target market, which is doctors and dentists, a neurosurgeon reaching out to him, asking him for help. This is not somebody who John went out and said and solicited his services to. He's not saying, hey, I do X, Y, and Z. Do you need help with this? No, this is a neurosurgeon coming to him asking for his help. Think about how different of a buying experience that is. Much different, right? So to do this, you have to understand some basic marketing fundamentals to make any digital marketing strategy work. Again, I'm not turning you into a marketing nerd, but this will help you regardless of what marketing strategies you use. So the good news with this is that good marketing models normal, healthy human relationships. This is something I will repeat over and over and over again. Good marketing models normal, healthy human relationships. So if something appears weird in real life, if it's too forward or too salesy or it doesn't work, the same thing, if you transition that to online, it's going to appear too forward, too salesy, too spammy. It's not going to work. But the good news is that if you are good at your job in the real world, if you are good at selling and talking to people, you're going to be good in the digital space. You just have to transition that into the online world. So what most people do when they start this process is they start being like this meme. I love this meme. It says, so for our first day, I was thinking we could figure out names for our children. Now that's obviously weird, right? If you go on a first date with somebody and they start trying to figure out names of your children, that's creepy. It's too forward. It's too fast, right? The same in the online marketing space. If we're trying to sell too fast, we're coming across exactly like this girl. We're too forward. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can't overcompensate and never get out of the friend zone. I like this meme too. It says, listen, I really like you. And she says, I like you too. You're a good friend. Okay. We can't be so passive in our marketing and our efforts to where people never reach out to us. And this is where people are just posting a quote every now and then or sharing an article. They're never getting out of the friend zone. They're never giving that person, the prospect, the opportunity to take the next step. Okay. So in this process, C stands for connections. So marketing is a numbers game. Any marketing strategy is a numbers game. You must get in front of as many people as possible. And the reason for this, there's a saying that I really like, is you can be the sweetest peach in the orchard, but some people just don't like peaches. You can have the best sales message and the best marketing strategy in the world, but some people they're not ready for it. That's not the right time. You're offering the peach to somebody when they're not hungry. So we got to get that pool of people you're marketing to as big as possible to increase the likelihood of success. So you may be thinking, all right, that must take a lot of work, but I'm going to walk you through really fast how easy it is to do on LinkedIn. So when you're on LinkedIn, on the top left, there's a search bar. All you have to do is type in the profession of your target market. So in this example, I used dentist, right? So I type in dentist. There's a few more filters that you can use, like level of connections, the locations, the current company. But what happens is it pulls up a whole list of that target market. And all you have to do from there is hit the connect button to begin the marketing process to these people. So I know what you're thinking right now. You're like, but Tyson, I'm not looking for dentists. I'm not looking for doctors. I'm not looking for CEOs with my business. That's exactly what I thought, and that's exactly what my clients thought. But think about this. Take a look at this. Your dream customer may not be that active on LinkedIn yet, but they are most likely there. LinkedIn has over 675 million members worldwide. I think they're about 700 now, actually. And they have over 167 million in the United States alone. So your dream client is there. You just have to find them. And that's what we're all about. We've got a challenge coming up soon called the Linked Life Agent Challenge that goes into all of this in even more detail and walks you through the steps. I highly recommend you check it out. I'll show you where it is after the training. But how you connect is extremely important. So when you go, again, you type in dentist, you got the filters that comes up with the people, you hit connect, you're able to send a connection message to people at that time. But remember, write this down. People will not connect with you if they think you're just trying to sell them something. If you come across as salesy, they will not connect and this will not work, all right? So be simple and short with your connection message. One of my favorite ones, all right? This is how simple it is. Hi, first name, looking forward to connecting with you, sign it your name. That's it. That's my favorite one. Another one that you could use, I don't like it as much, a little bit longer, but some people use it, is hi, first name, I came across your profile and felt like we would benefit from being connected. Little bit longer, still light. You can use it if it fits your style. I don't like it as much. Or third option, don't even customize the message at all. Leaving that default message actually works really well in this process. So with this, do not send a long message. Do not pitch your product or service in that message. Do not make them feel like they're being sold to. These are the 3 killers of the beginning of the LinkedIn marketing process, okay? Don't send them a long message. Don't pitch your product or service in that message. Don't make them feel like they're being sold to, all right? Hopefully you're writing that down. So at this point, what I tell my clients is make a goal of how many connection requests you're going to send out per day. So with us, if we're doing it for you, we send out 100 connection requests for you per day. But to do this, just find a time of the day where you can dedicate 30 to 60 minutes solely to LinkedIn. That's where you're going to see the success, all right? So moving to the next step, P stands for posting. So the typical process that happens, this is probably going to sound familiar to you, is that you get really excited about social media. You get excited about Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. And so you start creating and posting content on social media. It's unique, it's creative, but then you realize it takes valuable time. It's a process, right? And so you end up just going back to the default, which for a lot of people is just posting a quote or you share an article. And the thing is that these can be, they can be effective, but they're just not as effective or efficient as they could be in the lead generating process. So what ends up happening is you end up sending or posting very generic pieces like this. Now, this may be something that looks familiar to you, but you'll notice that each of these is not designed for lead generation. You're present on LinkedIn, you're at least there, but you're not doing great. So remember that these aren't bad concepts or articles. At least you're out there, and don't get analysis paralysis when it comes to the posting process, because something is better than nothing. But a few tips can make the difference between just being on LinkedIn and maximizing your efforts on LinkedIn. And it's all about creating a system for yourself. So what we like to use is what's called the 7-point pre-post checklist. Now with this checklist, part 1 is about creating the content, okay? Trying to figure out what content should I create? What's actually going to generate leads or drive people towards action? Number 2, part 2 of that process is analyzing the actual post. So what does the actual post itself need to look like with videos or text? Like, how's that structured? So after that, you create your schedule, you put it all together. So part 1 of the checklist, we're going to dive into that a little bit. So every time I'm going to create content for myself or my clients, I ask myself, what do I want my prospect to think, feel, know, or do after they see my post, okay? So I want to be able to sit there and think, okay, with this post that I'm putting out there, what is the purpose of this? What am I trying to get somebody to do? What do I want them to think, feel, know, or do? That's going to make a huge difference in the content that you create. Now, part 2 is analyzing the post itself. Now, there's only 3 things that you need to ask yourself with this. Does my post and the structure of my post make my prospect pause, think, and engage? You have to get them to stop scrolling. That is key, okay? So this is an actual post that we put out for one of our clients. She had never posted before. And you'll see that she got over 750 views on this. She had a comment. She had 23 likes. And this was still pretty early in the process after we put it out when I took this screenshot. But you'll notice that when creating content, we wanted our prospect to think, is my business missing out on a tax deduction? We wanted them to feel, oh man, I have risks in my business that I could be taking a deduction for covering. That's the FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. What do we want them to know? Is that they can be deducting up to $2.3 million per year. What do we want them to do? To click on the link. So that's the first part. That's the first part of the checklist. Now, the second part, does it make them pause, think, and engage? We've got all 3 of those. And this was a very successful post, right? Just one post, but it was a good post. So there is the 7-point checklist. That's the recap, all right? So creating your schedule when to post, you got to get that out. What we say is that at the very least, the bare minimum is to post weekly. Now, here's why. We already talked about this. There's over 675 million users on LinkedIn. Now, on LinkedIn, there are over 9 billion weekly impressions. That's likes, views, shares, that kind of stuff, right? So with that, this is going to make your mouth water, all right? Less than 1% of users post weekly. Did you catch that? So less than 1% of all LinkedIn users are getting a share of 9 billion weekly impressions. So if you are at least posting weekly, you are getting in front of your audience. You are in the top 1% of all LinkedIn users. That's what we say. At least post weekly, if not 5 times a week. So The next part, the last part of this is the messaging. Now, messaging is the most time consuming, but the most effective part of the process. Okay. This is where you got to do it right. Now, remember, when it comes to messaging, you can't be too forward to where you're too creepy, you're jumping all over people with your products and services, but you can't get friend zoned at the same time. So what I want you to remember with your messaging is to develop relationships. Again, in the Linked Life Agent Challenge, we have scripts for you to use. We talk about this a little bit more, but developing relationships is key. All right. So remember back when we said normal or good marketing mirrors normal, healthy human relationships. So in the real world, if we wanted to find a spouse, if we wanted to get our target audience, our prospect, and get them to the end goal, right? Is the first step would be walking up to somebody and say, you get their number, you got some small talk. Hey, what's your number? Next step, you get them to the next process of, hey, you want to go get coffee? All right, you went and got coffee. Hey, can I take you to dinner? All right, eventually you get to the point where you propose, you get married, and then even after you get married, you got to date your spouse, right? So you got flowers, you got date night. This is what we're looking to do in the marketing process, the online digital marketing process as well. So the keys to maximizing conversations on LinkedIn. The first one is, this is what I tell everybody. Remember that you are conversing with a real person. There's actually somebody sitting at the other end of the, whatever you want to call it, the internet. Like there's somebody at a keyboard there or looking at their phone that you are messaging, a real live person. Remember that. Make sure to ask them about them and their life and their business, right? So after you get those things out of the way, transition to your business as the conversation dictates. Do not rush that, okay? Make sure that they feel like you're adding value to their life, not being sold to. The fifth one here, ask open-ended questions. That is key to getting a real conversation where people see value. And then it helps if you have links to sales funnels that you can send them to in order to continue that nurturing and sales process, all right? So the key word to remember with this entire process is consistency. C plus P plus M equals LinkedIn success. And you will see that success if you are consistent in that process. This isn't just it's not a sprint. It's not a short burst of like, hey, I'm going to market for this week and then be good for the next 6 weeks. No, you're posting daily. You're messaging people. You're consistently connecting with them. That's where you see real success, and you get those 6- and 7-figure cases that we have seen come out of LinkedIn marketing, all right? So this is why consistency is key. There is a statistic that I saw that says, regardless of industry or product or service or whatever, that the average amount of time from the moment someone begins to think about purchasing a product or a service is 22 days. That's about the normal amount of time, right? Now, the average number of touch points that take place is 32 touch points. That's seeing an ad, seeing a post, getting a message, a text, a phone call. 32 touch points. That is why consistency is key, and consistently doing this right. So if you want to go deeper with this process, we have a 14-day Linked Life Agent Challenge coming up where I will show you the scripts and the strategies that go through and talk about exactly how to do this. We've got a lot of testimonials. If you go to linkedlifeagent.com/challenge, you can see what people have said about the challenge, what has come up out of the training, the actual results that people have gotten. So in the first 7 days of this, we cover how to create an attractive, magnetic LinkedIn presence that speaks directly to your target audience. Now with that, it's confidently creating a perpetual LinkedIn lead generation strategy, understanding exactly who your target audience is on LinkedIn and how to attract them. That's key, so you're not always chasing. How to create an all-star LinkedIn profile that acts as a lead generating website for you on autopilot, and brand yourself in a way that stands out from your competition and attracts clients to you. Now notice that we've said that a lot, attracts clients to you. We've had people that have just connected with their prospects on LinkedIn, and just because they had the right LinkedIn profile, we had people reach out to them and close 6-figure cases just off of that alone. Now in week 2, we're going to talk about positioning your content and messaging in a natural way that sets you apart as an industry expert and drives people to take action. Now with that, it's understanding what to say, and just as important, what not to say. I kid you not, that is just as important as knowing what to say as knowing what not to say to actually get results. Then how to position content as an attraction tool. We talk about a 7-step formula for posting content that converts. That's key, not just posting for the sake of posting. How to efficiently get your message across without appearing canned or spammy, and how to create conversion-driven conversations. I love that. Conversion-driven conversations. We're not just getting in the friend zone. We're not just saying, hey, how's the weather? How's your life going? All right, talk to you sometime. I hope you reach out to me, right? Conversion-driven conversations. So what you get with this 14-day challenge, you get 14-day virtual training with me to teach you the real tactics and strategies that we use personally with our clients that pay us 4 to 5 figures to get this thing done, to drive results. We get a 7-point pre-post action plan. You get a 10-point LinkedIn profile audit checklist, access to all recorded training sessions. That's key. We don't take it away. A Linked Life Agent digital companion workbook, and a 30-day post-challenge action plan. So the total value of this is just over $1,600, but you can get access to the challenge, to all the training and the tools for only $37, all right? You can go to linkedlifeagent.com/challenge. We actually have a testimonial from one of our previous challengers that came through, and she was talking to me after, and we recorded this, thankfully. And she was like, hey, I honestly think you guys should charge more because of the value that you have inside of this challenge. That's how valuable it is. We've had people get 5 to 6 appointments just from the challenge training alone. A huge benefit. So go to Linked Life Agent challenge or linkedlifeagent.com/challenge. I'll actually have a button below. So hope you guys are doing well. Hope that was valuable for you, and I hope to see you on the challenge, and I will talk to you soon.